Well, hello, boys and girls. Dumb Cunt here, and this is going to be a commentary for Chewwies Episode 6, Last Seen Online. Big thank you to anyone who watched this already or, helped out with it in any way. Took a long while to make, not quite as long as I feared it would take. Still took not as long as Chewwies 5 Awards Night. Check that out if you can. But yeah, this was originally supposed to be not a Chewwies. It was supposed to be called. It was originally a film called Full Circle, because I like how the story loops back to the start. But I kind of went back and forth for it on a long time. For a while, it was going to be called Clan by Me, obviously because the story is somewhat reminiscent of the movie Stand By Me. And I like the transitions that we have here from Halo 1 to Halo 2, Halo 2 to Halo 3, and so on and so forth. In terms of the characters, there isn't anything too deep to look into. Characters like Earl are an amalgam of most of the people that I've either dealt with online with Halo or maybe in various online communities as well. So both on Xbox Live and in Halo fan forums or adjacent forums or Discord servers. The character Roman is kind of two things are going on with Roman. On one hand, you have a character who is somewhat some would consider degenerate because he's a furry, but he has this kind of wholesome demeanor, which I think forces the audience to kind of look past that somewhat confusing part of his character, you think. Who am I missing out? Alex and Ben are kind of one and the same. Alex is someone that I wanted to ground in difficult life circumstances. And I guess the same could be said for Roman, Roman has a terminal illness that he gets diagnosed with, whereas with Alex, she has a home life. And I don't want to push too far into that because I like keeping it somewhat ambiguous and letting the audience piece together what's going on, because I think it influences by keeping it ambiguous, I think people can kind of start to figure out where the story might go, and hopefully the audience gets there at the same time that the film gets there, And I do consider this a short film. It's probably the closest I'll ever get to making a Chewwies film, And I was going to make a Chewwies movie at one point called Cuck Fiction, based off of Pulp Fiction, like a parody, but it just didn't come together for me. And then for Ben,
Hey Earl,
I did leave a lot
I'm
of
doing all the work
Ben's
here.
characteristics or his backstory somewhat vague because
Are
he
you
is the
fucking
everyman.
joking me?
He is
It's a
the
complete disgrace and
protagonist
an
of the
insult to
script, and I
masterpiece
do
that is
want
Halo 3. Just look at the
most
colors
people
and the
just to
shaders
kind
on
of
the
map
guns or
onto him a little
items.
bit,
I
sort of
can't
like you
believe I
do with
paid
Halo
full
Reach,
retail for this piece of
I
shit
don't
by
want to
developers
have
who don't
his
even put in the bare
backstory too
minimum of
loaded.
work on their titles.
Even giving him
Microsoft are just a
career
giant
paths
pyramid
such as
scheme, if you ask
engineering
me.
is
I
something
wish I
that I
could burn
think
everyone in those
most
offices
Halo fans I
alive.
know
And
have
another
kind of
thing,
moved into,
Yeah, they were good times.
because it is sci-fi, and a lot of people who are into sci-fi do tap into engineering or into creative media like myself. If you look at this structure that I built on Forge World, the idea is that it was a treehouse. That's why I have a bunch of dead tree objects around it. I don't know if I particularly succeeded in communicating that to the audience, but you also have those LEDs overhead, and that those LEDs symbolize a different member of this clan. So you'd have the blue for Ben, you'd have the white for Alex, you'd have the yellow for Roman, and you'd have the green for Earl. So yeah, looking back on it now, I didn't really flesh out Roman's character enough, but I think I at least gave people enough of his character where they can start to at least have some affable feelings towards him, because he's a warm and friendly character, and there's really not much to despise about him, In terms of Earl, I think you get two main scenes with him. You get the scene where he fights with Alex before the split happens, and then you have the scene where he is later on, where he's in his shrine, and you see two different kind of aspects to him. One before he went down to Dark Descent, and one after. And I think that's a really I like the communicating that way because there's a visual difference as well. I suppose there is with Alex as well,
I usually just
I
lay
don't want
down
to
and
show
watch
the
for about five
progression of
minutes.
time, and it's
Wait,
hard to do that with
so you mean to tell
avatars
me
when you
that I've been
can't
talking to myself
show
for the
live
last
action and
half
show
hour?
people's faces
Guess
as they
so.
age
Are you
or
fucking
their
kidding
appearance
me? This
change,
is
you know?
bullshit. I'm so goddamn
But
fed up
back
with
to what's
this
happening with this
nonsense.
scene here.
Every time I try
This
to
is,
convey
I think,
my
the only
feelings, someone
time
just
we have
ignores me and
all four characters in one place. And
Actually, I've been meeting
reflecting
with my
upon this
other
scene and how
clan
we kind of
coming
tie
up
back
soon,
to it
so
later
I
on
may
with the
have to
memorial
dip
they have
out.
for him,
You've got other friends
I
now?
could have easily had
However will we recover
the
from
character
this?
of
Laugh all you
Kyle
want, but it's
in here
hard to
with
find a fair
the three others,
community on
but I
this
think it
game
would have
nowadays.
totally pulled away
Never
from what the
mind
scene is about.
scabies. Plus,
Because
they're in my
while
time
Alex and
zone
Kyle
too.
do become
Hey, Rome,
intimate,
you're running late,
I
pal.
don't think Kyle
Oh hey,
should be a
yeah,
replacement
I'll
for
be down
Roman in
in a
this
minute.
clan. I
Nice
think
talking to you all again. I guess
I'd
I'll
be
see you
pushing the wrong
around.
idea with
Yeah,
that.
man.
Like the
Take
idea
it
that
easy.
Roman could be
Later.
replaced because
bye, I
the way
guess.
I see it, all the
We
members
didn't
of this
see
clan
much from him
can't be
after that.
replaced
We saw
at
him
all,
online
you know?
every now and again, but he was usually busy with his stuff, and we were
In
over at the
terms of
bars.
Ben, there's a
Even
lot
if
of
it didn't
scenes where
with
he's
us,
just kind
what
of
are we gonna
staring
play
into
some actual
space, and I
games
think
today?
that's a little bit.
We got a few good
It
months
could be a
out of
little
each
bit
other.
much,
It wasn't
but
the
I do
same
want to give
without Roman,
people
but we tried our
the
best
ability to
carry
at
on
least
as
dwell
well.
on things with
But
the
once I
characters,
started
you know?
college, I suppose things just kind of changed.
These
Maybe we
montage
changed
scenes, I
too.
think, were some of
We
the
all
last
grew up
stuff I
together,
grabbed,
played together, and
on top
enjoyed
of a
our time
few,
together.
pickup shots.
Or
The
at
Halo
least
4
we
stuff
did.
took a while to grab because I couldn't figure out how to get the weapon lowered in Halo 4.
For Christ's
But
sake. I can't
some
fucking
folks
believe
helped me
it.
out, so I'm gonna make
Halo
sure to
4
credit
sucks
them.
such donkey cock. Why did
And yeah,
343 even release this
I
shit?
like how this scene
Seriously, I
flows.
hate it.
All right, Earl. We
Oh
get
yeah,
it.
in terms of
Settle down.
appearances, I
Don't
wanted to
tell me
have
to
some
settle
kind of
down.
consistency
I hate it when
across the
people tell me
games.
what to
So
do.
since we meet
This is the
Ben
typical
first,
snowflake
he'll
shit I
have
have
the
to put
Mark
up with
V
all the
from
time.
CE.
Why are you
So you
lot
will at
always
least
so
know in
sensitive?
all the
No
subsequent
one
games
else
that
is
you'll
as
know,
sensitive
oh,
about these topics
this
as
is
you
Ben.
do.
And of course, there's the
If you
color
don't like
scheme as
Halo
well.
4, then why
And
don't you
obviously
just
with
fuck off
Alex,
and play the
she will
Bungie
have the
games?
Mark 6.
No one's stopping you.
Just
And
what the
even
fuck
though
is
she
your
appears in
problem?
Halo in
You just
CE
hate
first,
people who have
the
different
next time you
opinions
see
than
her
you.
is in
Jesus
Halo 2, so
Christ.
at least
You're
there's
just
some
everyone's
kind of
problem today, aren't
consistency
you?
there, at least like
Hey, let's
going
just
from Halo
cool
2
down for a
onwards.
minute, yeah?
She
With
started.
Roman,
I literally
I
didn't
was going to
think
keep
whatever.
him wearing the
Let's get
Elite
back to the
Miner
game,
helmet or
okay?
the
There's a
combat
few
helmet,
minutes left in the
but I
match.
figured,
No! This
he's a
game is
yellow
fucking
elite.
stupid.
That's
This
in
game
the
type is
context of the
fucking
clan.
stupid.
He's the
The
only
343
elite,
building should
and
be
his
demolished
colors
and
are
everyone
so
inside for making this heap of
striking
shit.
enough that it
Come
really
on,
doesn't
man.
matter what
It's just a game after all.
permutations he
It's
wears,
not just a
so long as
game.
he
I
is
paid
an
money
elite
for
the
this
whole
shit and I
time.
feel like I've been scammed.
And then obviously
In
for
fact,
Earl, we
I'm
have the
driving to
EOD,
Washington to get my money
and
back.
Then do
I
it
was
and stop
really
being such a nuisance.
struggling
Do
whether
you
or
have
not I
any
should
take
change
on
his
this,
appearance when they
Ben?
get to
Or are you
his
just going to sit on your hands as
underground layer
usual and
or
not do
base.
shit?
Dude, I'm trying to be
But I
fair
think
here. I don't want to
I was
take
I was really
sides.
happy with
Don't
the fact
make
that
me
they
the
have
bad guy.
those mythic
There are no
helmets across
sides.
Halo
Either
3
you're
and
with me
Reach.
or against me.
So once I
Make your
have like the
choice.
voice changer in there, and they track him with his gamer tag as well, I'm able to at least have him keep that appearance. It's kind of the opposite with Alex, because with Alex,
I figured as
I
much.
had her change
I hope you're
almost
both
everything
happy
except for her
together.
color scheme and her helmet. So at least there's enough reason to believe that she is the
Earl,
same
wait.
character. With Ben, when we do this kind of fast forward to
What?
after they split up,
What now?
the reason I
Who
didn't have his
cares?
appearance changed at all is because I think some part of him should want to be kept in
Things
the
were
past or
tense
be
for a while
trying to hold
after
on to
that.
the past,
We
which is
didn't
why
hear
even
much
when he
from
upgrades
Earl
to
after that
MCC,
either.
his armor scheme doesn't
Guess he
change at
found
all.
some other
That's
like-minded
personally what
individuals
made
to
the most
spend
sense to me
time with,
anyway.
or at least I hope so.
I think this was the pickup shot as well, with him getting killed by the incineration cannon.
Me and Alex played some games together,
I
but
just
she
love
became more
this is I
distant.
think this is the
It was
only
like she was
transition that I
becoming
didn't
a
make the most
different
out of,
person and
going
behaving
from Halo 4 to
differently.
5, because usually some of them have a nice
Some
flip
days we'd play
pan or
together
like
and
a
she won't even turn
was
her
it a
mic
wipe
on.
or
I was
something.
just playing with a vessel, just an
But
empty
shout out to
button on
Aegis
a
Mind
screen.
for helping me out with this scene.
Hey, good game. They had us in the
I
first half, but
there's no split screen
we
on
sure gave
Halo
them
5,
hell.
so I had to get
It's a
somebody
long
who had
week,
the
and I
right
had my midterms
armor
handed in.
unlocked that could help me out with this scene. And I think it
Alex?
turned out just well.
And
Didn't
that
have
was
to
the last
use
time I
the
saw her for quite
Halo
some
5
time.
green screen, which is really
Even when
great.
I reached out
Sometimes
and
people
she was
can
online,
tell when
I
something's been
wouldn't
pieced
hear
together
back.
in post or
She
something,
either
but
wouldn't see my
that all
invites
turned
or
out
just
fine.
wouldn't accept them.
Then
Same
the
with
next scene I
messages.
think is when we
I I
go
just stopped
back to
messaging
Halo 3.
eventually. I
Yeah,
just got busy with
and
college, jobs, and all
I
that
think
stuff.
this
I played if I had
exterior
time on
cuts well with
weekends,
the
occasionally
interior,
on vacation.
and
When
I
I
think
graduated, I partied for a few weeks, got
I'm
an
not quite sure
Xbox
about
One,
the
and
scene
hit up
with
some
the
matchmaking on MCC.
like the merger night or
Saw
when all
some
the
old
clans
faces,
meet
but
up
it seemed like
inside.
most people had moved on.
I don't know if that was
Found some
planned for a
clans
different
recruiting that I
Chewies,
figured
but
might
I
maybe
do
find some
remember it
folks to play
being
with, like the
one
good old
of the
days.
first scenes that I had in
One
my
evening,
head
I stumbled upon a
because I
merger
wanted to
night
have
where
this
multiple clans would come together, play some
kind of
customs,
pointing
and
a
maybe get
finger
some new members,
at
like
the
a
Halo
career
clans and
fair of
stuff
Halo
because
communities.
I've been
Sounds
on
stupid, but it was the
I
first
wasn't
time the
on
community
I
felt
wasn't on
together since the
Halo
360
3
servers were
back in the
killed.
Xbox
I
360
figured I'd
days
try
or
to
back
meet
in
some new
the
folks.
old days of Xbox
Hey,
Live.
I
I
was
was
thinking about
on it
joining your
towards the
clan.
end when Halo 4 came about, but I miss the good old days, but
Thinking,
obviously
are you
on
in or
MCC,
not?
I
I'm on
mean,
custom
what
games a
can you
lot on the
tell me
custom
about
games
yourselves?
browser, so I
We
see a
are
lot
the
of
34th
clan
Dark
lobbies and
Sun
stuff, and kind
Rising.
of
We only take the
how you
top
would say,
players, and we don't fuck
you
around.
know,
All right. How often do you guys
role
play?
playing stuff.
We
And I
play
definitely
every
wanted to poke
day
fun at
at
that because I think it's
1900
absolutely
hours
ludicrous
sharp.
and
We
no
warm up,
shame if you do that kind of
drills,
thing.
and
It's
discuss
totally
all
fine.
matters related to
But
the clan.
you
But
can't do it and get away
what
with
would
it,
there
if
be
that
to
makes sense.
discuss?
And that goes for
That's
machinima as well. If
strictly
you take machinima too seriously,
confidential.
people are going to
We
poke fun
need
with
to
you,
know
and I'm
basis.
Okay.
110% okay with that.
Look, are you gonna
But I
keep
wanted to
wasting our
show how
time,
much
or
these
do you
people
wanna
take them,
join
like
us?
how much these people
Private
take themselves too
Swift, you
seriously.
are way out of line.
Like you have all
Stand
the
down
steel and red
now.
people, and
But sir,
if you've
he
played
isn't
Halo
showing
at
you the
all, you know
respect you
people that
deserve.
do the steel
You're
and red thing,
insubordinate.
and it's
I'm demoting you
you know
down
who
to
you
a
are if you do it.
creep.
I'm not going to name any
Please
names.
don't.
You're not
G27
being
Dragoo.
asked.
But
That's
if you
an
do it,
order.
you know that you do it, and it's really not that big of a deal.
No!
And obviously, Ben is almost inverted to this, and I guess
Begin
it's
your
it's
initiation.
unintentional,
You'll need
but
to change your
these
armor
guys
color
are
to fit
red
our
and steel,
uniform
and he's kind of
emblem,
teal and
gamer
white.
tag,
It's
and we
somewhat
need you to
inverted in
tattoo
terms of
our
colors, you know.
logo
I know
on
blue
your
isn't the
car.
opposite of red,
All
but
right. That seems
when you think
fair
about the
to.
dichotomy that
Wait,
happens
what?
in Halo with
We
blue team and
require
red team,
commitment
it
from
is
our
a bit of an
recruits.
inversion.
I need to know that you're
And obviously, they
taking
have all
this
their weapon
seriously.
skins and all that kind of thing. And
And granted,
Ben is just rocking all the faults and stuff. And if you look at the barrels and stuff in the background, or even some of the lighting elements, you'll see like blue and red elements. And all that is just reflections from the blue and red
that's right.
lights
I've
that I
seen
put in
it
Forge
myself.
for the red
It's
versus blue
pretty
room.
gnarly.
You know what?
And
I think I'll pass.
there's a
for
few
now.
little hints in
Then
there
you're
about the red
dismissed,
versus
soldier.
blue
Please
fandom scene.
vacate the
I'm
area.
pretty sure
No
you can tell I'm
problemo.
not
Over and out.
making a commentary on the red versus blue community. I have no grievances with them. It's actually somewhat of
you ever
projection
wonder
about
why
the
we're
RP
here?
Chief community. I'm not going to go too much
Hey, good
farther into that, but
one.
I think
You're
it's a
the
fun
red
scene.
versus
I
blue
think
clan.
you have
Yeah, I'm the lead admin. My
Ben
name's Creaminator.
kind of dipping his toe in these different
Nice.
communities
What
and
kind
still
of stuff do you
not
do?
finding his
Oh, we
clan
hold
or
custom
finding his
games,
people.
TV or movie nights.
And this is
Sometimes we make group
kind of
projects
one
in
of the
our
central
official Telegram
themes
group.
of the whole
Cool.
script.
Like
It's
what?
about Ben trying to
My
find
fan
his people,
series,
and
last gen.
once
See.
this clan
Fucking
kind
no
of
one's coming in all the
dissolves
time and using
in
all our
between
shit.
Halo
It's the
4 and
same as
Halo
those
Reach,
goddamn
he's trying to
crooks
find a
and
new
filthy
clan to come
There's a
to,
lot of
and
them. And
the
don't even
reality
start
is that
me
he
on the
can't replace his old clan
Whoa.
because
Yeah.
it was
Sorry,
such a
that's Sam's Club.
complex
He's one of the more
mixture, like a
extreme members of
chemical
the community. He's
mixture
one
of
of the reasons
different
why
kinds of
recent people don't
personalities
really
that it
interact
just
with us as much
worked.
these days.
And
Still,
there's
though,
no
we do
explanation
have a lot
for
of
it.
fun.
Like
I'm sure.
Earl, Roman, Alex, and Ben are,
You wanna see my
with the exception of Alex and Ben, maybe,
Excuse me?
they're all wildly different people. And they don't know why. They just
Okay,
know
I
that they
think I'll
clicked
go
together
now.
for a while. And it's almost as if when one of them was removed, the whole
God
thing kind of
fucking
tops
damn it,
like,
not
like a house
again.
of cards.
What
So
is it with you two
that was the red
every
versus
time?
blue fandom. And then we
changed
go
when he
into
got
this
on
scene.
Bad,
Now,
man. I'm worried about him.
it's
If
a
he
little
talks
bit
to
of a
343,
controversial
we could
scene.
be in some
Anyone
serious
who's
shit.
watched the movie
Someone's
American
got to take
History
him
X
down.
I'm gonna
might
take
pick
you
up this is actually
down.
from one of the
Right.
deleted scenes.
There's another matter we need to discuss.
And
I
this
think
is
you're
kind
ready to
of
step
very
up
much
to the
like a
clan.
commentary in
The
the
way we're
Halo
operating
community
right now,
because
making old school
when you deal
machinima,
with a lot of
ever since we
Bungie
made
purists in the
ourselves
Halo
known to the
community, they
I haven't
kind of
been able to keep
forcefully
track
push
of the
against a
people
lot of
subscribing.
quote-unquote woke
And I want you to take
wokeism
over the
in
role
modern
of
Halo.
supervisor.
And
But I'll make 'em
as a
shit
result
on
of that, they
you.
kind
I've
of
got a great idea for a
aggressively
1v1 series.
greet anything 343
Mhm.
makes. And I
Well,
personally think that
looky
343
here.
have done
What
a
do we
great
have
job
now?
with
Can
MCC,
we help
with
you
all
with
the new
something?
content they added, with
Need
the
a
fixes, with the
hand-financed suitable
modules.
grip to
I
join?
think it's all terrific.
No, we're
But the
good.
problem is that
Thank
people
you.
are so dug
Fantastic.
in on this
And I
idea about
recommend using the
343
adaptive
doing all this
controller.
woke
I've
nonsense
spoken to the
that
rest
they
of the clan,
will
and they're willing to
flat
send
out
out some
reject
stickers and
the good
glitter
things
to
they've
put
actually
on them.
contributed to the
I'm
legacy
sure you
titles.
prefer it that way.
So there's a bit
You
of
have a
that
problem
here,
with me, bud?
where there's
First and
hypocrisy on their
foremost,
behalf
I'm
because
not your
on
fucking
one side
bug,
they just want
friendo.
everyone to
Let's
be
go,
rocking
Clyde. They aren't
the old
worth it.
school
Hang
armor
on a sec.
and not
Such
have,
a
you know,
good
all this
idea.
343
Fast little
vibrant stuff
thing
going
out
on.
there, boy.
But then they don't
I'd be
realize that
glad
these
to do
people
it
are playing the
safely
same game
with
that
my
they're playing.
opinion.
They're
I
playing the
didn't
same
ask for
Halo
your
3,
opinion.
not on
We're very
360,
different
it's on
people.
Xbox
And we're
One, but you
thankful
know,
for that.
it's
Every
really not that big
second
of a
we
deal.
spend on here,
And
son.
even when Ben comes in,
Excuse me,
they
Spartan
don't
Locke?
greet him
I am
positively
not called
because
Spartan
he kind of comes in to defend
Fuck's
Alex
sake.
and Kyle.
Spartan lock,
So,
whatever.
I don't know. I
He's
just wanted to
playing
kind of
more your
hold a mirror
kind
up to the
before
Bungie
we
Purist
share.
community.
You pricks.
And I say this as
What
someone
game do you think we're
who
playing?
You want to know what game,
vehemently
sweetie? Allow me to
prefers
fill you in. We're
the
playing a
Bungie
game
games
called
over the 343
Halo.
games.
Made by
I'm not a fan of
Bungie,
Halo
it was
4
a
or
lovely
Halo
place
5.
to play until
I
it
think
came
Infinite
to
is decent,
fucking
but I
woke-ass
wanted to
fashion
at least
show.
show how
Woke-ass
silly
fashion
Bungie
show.
fans can be
Pro-life,
and how silly
dumbass
they can be
You
in
wanna
some
go in a
ways.
piece of shit,
And
huh?
am I calling them
Take
neo-Nazis?
a shot.
Absolutely
And if you
not.
choose not to, I
But I
recommend you
think
get
the kind
fuck
of
outta this
rhetoric
sector,
that
'cause I've had a
surrounds them
pretty
is
bad evening.
protectionist and gatekeeping in all the wrong areas. And
Where do we
that's
go
that's
from
basically
here,
what the scene is
amigo?
about.
We're going
I tried to put a
nowhere.
little bit of levity into it, but I don't know if it necessarily
Sure looks
translated.
like it.
But I think
Well,
the
we ain't gonna
hostility
have no
and all
Bonnie
the
Ross bitches tainting our
aggression
clan or server,
that
so
surrounds
buckle
the dialogue
Alright
here, I
then,
think is
on three.
totally where it needs
Alex
to be.
here will blow a fresh glory
There's no
hole in
epithets
from
are
your
used,
eyes and do your
no
boyfriend
slurs are used.
after
It's just
you
this
take
kind of
turns fucking each
combative
other's skulls.
Oh shit.
protectionism
motherfucker.
of
Hey,
old school
hey,
Halo that I
stop.
hate. And I
Let's
just
take
wanted
this
to
easy,
outline that
alright?
here.
There's no need for this
I'm
pointless
going to
fighting.
fast forward a little
And
bit
just
in this
who the fuck are
commentary and
you?
talk a
Ben?
bit about Halo
Are you
Infinite
with these
because
pieces of shit?
No,
while I
just
knew
got
I
here,
wanted to
swear.
put in
You
all the
shills
mainline Halo
best
games
get
in
the
this
fuck out.
project,
Now.
I knew that
Alright,
working
we're
Infinite
leaving.
would be somewhat
Come on, Alex.
tiresome or
Let's go.
troublesome, and I kind of procrastinated until the very end
Sorry
because
about that. I
Halo
don't know
Infinite's
what came
theater
over
mode
me.
is
Hey, I
just not where it
understand.
needs to
Those
be,
guys
and
were
I've
real
never been
jerks.
more
Sure
aware
were.
of how
What
bad
on earth are you
Infinite's
doing here?
theater is until I
Looking for
worked
some
on this
peeps to
video,
play with. It's been a
because
while since I've played.
when I was filming
Yeah.
it, I
How
had
have you been?
problems with
I've been good.
armor
Nice
presets
to
not
meet you, by the
loading,
way.
coding's not loading,
Kyle. Oh,
and
hey,
keep in mind,
Ben.
I had tried
Yeah,
split
sorry.
screen on my
This is
Xbox
Ben.
One.
We used to
I
play together
tried
all the time back in
playing
the day.
across
Cool.
Xbox
Now I know
Live
where she gets her
or
skills from.
Game Pass,
And
with my
this is
PC
Kyle.
and my
He's
Xbox
my
One running, and the same thing
my
would happen on theater every time,
Fiancé.
where
Last I checked, anyway.
I would have to
Yeah.
boot up the entire
Oh,
replay
that's
from scratch
great.
each time if I wanted to get a different angle.
When'd you get
Because
engaged?
if I
Must
rewound,
have been what?
the second
6
player,
months
who
ago?
was Alex in the
about that, yeah.
playback,
Don't worry.
her
not doing
armor
any
set
wedding
just
on
wouldn't
Halo or
load.
anything.
It would all be set
That'd
to
be really dope.
default.
You're telling me.
And you'll even
What do
see
you
when we
do,
get to
man?
the scene
Just
towards the
graduated
end,
from college, so I'm
even like there's a
celebrating, I
bit of
guess.
wobble or
Oh, cool.
something when
What's
characters
your
walk,
major?
it's a bit jittery, and it's really disappointing. And
Uh,
the other thing I would
boy.
say is that when it
Furries.
comes to
Didn't you say
the
you used to
like
play
of
with a
Ben's
furry?
avatar in Halo
Some
Infinite,
European
if
guy
I
called
rewound
Nico
the lowering weapon
Wojciech
thing that I did,
Tomar?
and I know people have made prefabs
Roman.
for an Infinite, that would be disabled. So even if he did the weapon lowering prompt, his weapon would still be raised the
Sorry,
entire
excuse
time, and
me.
I totally hate that,
Sorry,
and
I was
it's
just talking about a friend.
kind of infuriating.
Roman,
You know,
right?
even with the
Yeah.
help of people for
Don't
Halo
know if
4
he's
and
the same
MCC
one
and
that we
stuff,
hung out with,
there
but
is
there
no
aren't too many
silver
Halo
bullet
players in
for
the
making a
furry
mission in
community.
Infinite.
Do you
And
remember his GT?
I guess for the most part,
I'm
this is probably one
drawing
of the
a
few times
blank
I'll
here.
actually make Mission Man
Balance?
Infinite.
Chain smoker?
I would love it if they fixed the
Flame
game, but
smoker?
theater is such a
Something like
minute
that.
thing where if people
Men's
at least
going
get
for EU.
playback going for
Yeah,
getting
that's the
kills
one.
or montages,
cool.
I don't think
How's he
anyone's going
doing
to
these
care
days?
enough. So we have
You
this
guys go
furry
ahead, I'll
character
catch up with you later.
coming up on screen, and this is going to sound ultra stupid, but a part of me wanted to humanize the furry characters and
Radon
show that
poisoning.
obviously
Rancid
they have
construction in
their own
fitting
insular
cellars.
community,
Government regulations
but I
protect
think they
that
do a
sort
decent
of
job
thing
of
were
branching out to
kind
people.
of loosened
And
up.
obviously, I'm not a
Did he
furry.
suffer?
I've never been
Fiancé
part of the
aged
furry
23
community.
years. He had enough
But
money for
people,
treatment,
anyone
but
who knows the
just
Halo community
hadn't waited
well,
late.
will know that
Spent his
the
final months on here playing
elite
with his
fans or
partner
people
by
who
his
like the
side. He
Sangheili
emailed us a
kind
link
of
to his
overlap
deal
with
at the
furries a
end.
little
We
bit.
all
It's kind of like
pitched
with the
in,
Sonic
but
community,
he
where you'll have
wasn't
people that are
along.
into
Well, that's
reptilian
something,
furries or
I guess.
scalies,
It sounds like he
rocking
was a good
elite
guy.
avatars and
He had a
such.
way about
So I
him.
wanted to give them a
Really
pedestal here
enjoyed life
because
and made time for others.
this entire episode is
You
about
okay?
clans and the kind of
Yeah,
weirdos you will meet
it's
on
just
Xbox Live or on Halo
makes you
Discords.
wonder what Earl's
And
up to, I guess.
kind of
Yeah,
zooming out
you're
even
right.
farther from that, that
We should
is
check up on him.
the entirety of what Chewwies
Let's
is.
go.
It's
Thanks for talking to
instances
us.
based off
What was your
of
name
the
again?
wacky and weird people that I
Roth.
meet online.
Take care now.
And it
Sure,
felt
Roth.
good to,
You too.
while all the other Chewies I have put a
So
lot of
Alex
effort
was
into,
getting married and
this is kind
Roman
of
passed.
the most
Seemed like the
dramatic one
world had moved
that
on
I've made
without
so
me.
far.
Sure,
And I
I'd
wanted
grown
to
and
kind
changed
of
too, but I was still
not
the
make a
awkward
statement,
kid that
but I
liked to
wanted
play
to at
Halo
least
all weekend and
outline
talk shit
how I
online.
felt about
It made me uncertain
online
about
Halo
where Earl could be.
communities.
He
Not to
was
say
one of
they're
the
all
most
bad, but just to
unstable
kind
of the
of
three of us. He had issues that would probably fester
say
if
what
left
how I
unchecked.
feel about
We
it and
searched
how I
high
see
and low in the
things.
clans for him. No one had heard of an
So
Earl from what we
now
could
we
tell,
have
but we did find someone with the
Alex,
same gamer
Ben,
tag though.
and Kyle going to the base to meet
Can I
Earl.
help you with something?
We're
And
here to see Inheritor
shout out to Connor Don for
1388.
for
Does he know
voicing
you're
this
coming?
character at the door.
Should
And he
do. We
voiced
used
two
to
different
play together.
characters, and I really
That's
hope
not
that
what I asked.
nobody
This base is
picked up on
exclusively
the two different
for
characters he
Vanguard,
voiced because
All right.
while the guy does
Then
have
how do we
range,
join?
sometimes you can tell
Applications are
someone's voice when you hear it.
closed. They were open on Clan 9
This kind of character, in
yesterday.
terms of
This
his
is bored with
appearance,
this
I wanted to
laughable
give him
shit.
some
We just want to see
degree
our friend.
of
I'm not
old
open
school
for
Halo, but a little
negotiations.
degree of
Come
new
on,
school
Rick.
Halo as well
Can't you
with the
at least
visor
let him
color.
know we're here?
Fine.
And
But if he doesn't
this is kind of
respond,
where I went with
he
Alex's
says
character as
no,
well, because,
then you're out on your own
or
arses.
sorry, Earl's
Oh,
character,
that's just
because
swelling.
when we meet Earl in the
Sin.
following scene,
Well, that's
obviously
it.
he's
Time
rocking
for you
some
to
of the
leave.
newer Halo armor, but I wanted to make sure that it wasn't
Well,
the armor
Seems like
sets
today
from
is
El
your
Dorito or
lucky
Halo
day.
Online, because that's very much, I would call it Halo 4 era armor. And I want to give him armor sets that would look bulky or, I don't know, kind of overpowered or something. Edgy. Edgy is the word I'm looking for. And looking at it now, I can see that the main thing I did is, I think I just
Let me
gave
know
him
when, and I'll have them
a
removed
helmet, a
immediately.
different helmet.
You may go
Maybe the
now.
katana or
Sir.
something.
Leave.
But just stuff that would make
Aye,
him
sir.
kind of LARP a little bit
So,
harder
to
as a
whom do I owe
character.
the pleasure?
Earl,
Um,
it's us.
Took me a while
Alex
to
and
build this
Ben?
scene.
I
Like
don't
this
know
was
anyone who goes
one
by
of the
those
first
names.
sets I built for the
Are you
entire
serious?
episode,
changer
just
or
because
not,
I needed
it's
something
you,
that looked
man.
dramatic.
No idea what you're talking about.
And
Tell me why
while
you're
I
here
initially
or get
had
out.
two
It's
kind
been
of
a
bodyguards
while.
for him on
Just
either side of
wanted
the
to check
stage,
up on you.
And who might you
doing
be?
the kind of
Name's Kyle.
navigating the shooting and blocking
just
for the
along for the
scene was
ride,
really
honestly.
difficult because
Uh-huh.
I have 4
Well, I
controllers
don't
on
have all
my
day, so unless you
Xbox
have
One,
some business to
and
do,
then
I
obviously I
highly
have
recommend that you get
a
out.
PC as well, so
Now
I
look
can
at
run
your
5
photo.
characters on my own.
But
My
But the
sincerest
blocking would have been
apologies
way
for
too hard.
interrupting, sir.
Especially
But
we
I
can
found the one
consider
you
the
requested.
role
What the
that
fuck
they
is
bring in here
this?
then.
What do you want?
The scene has
Silence.
roughly,
You will
yeah,
only speak
5
when
characters,
spoken
6
to.
characters if you
Let
include
me
Earl.
get this straight.
So it would have been
Are
really
you
hard to kind of
Moneymaker
block with a 2 security guards on either side.
Yeah?
I just figured that I can just get away
It
with
only make too much
Earl and his
sense. Such a
bodyguard, you know?
toxic individual would possess
I
such
could have given him
immature
2
name.
bodyguards, but I thought
It's just
maybe
a
that was
gamer
overkill.
tag. Who cares?
And I
Ah,
like how the
fuck.
wall is kind of
The
just
Overlord is
stocked
gonna
with
be the
weapons
only
and
one
stuff.
answering the questions.
It looks like way too
Overlord.
much. It looks way over the top,
This
and
is
I love it
wild.
that way with the
Not to be
lights
found
and the
mistaken.
grav
We played
lifts.
against each other in
I probably
SWAT,
could have
a
spent more
matchmaker
time
roughly
making
a
it look
month ago.
more dramatic and bombastic, but I think
What?
all the kind of
Answer the question.
beats and
How
points I
the
want to
fuck
get
can I
across were
remember
there.
that? I play MCC
Um,
literally every day.
Yeah,
dude.
I had to reshoot
Allow me
this
to make it
scene
easier for you.
once or
We
twice
played a match
because
26
one
days,
theater
8
session
hours,
just
18
didn't
minutes,
record
and
at all,
36 seconds
and then
ago.
many as a
Ringing any
time
bells?
I would have seen
not
these
really.
shots of these
You
pickups
betrayed
of
me and
Earl
teabagged
walking
me
around
bound
and
me by
realizing that
attacking my body.
maybe the wrong
Wait,
weapon is on his
that's
back,
what this is
and we have like
about?
continuity
Are you kidding
hiccups.
me?
Final warning.
But I
Keep
think
your
the scene
mouth
came together
shut
really
to
well
last.
in terms of
Now
the
it's time
sound
for you to pay
design
the
and everything,
price,
really, you know.
Ethan.
What?
And I love
I figured that
giving.
would get your attention.
One thing I really
It's
like about making
fascinating
machinima
how much
is
personal information you
the
can
design
pull
of
up from
characters,
just a
like
gamer
going
tag.
into the
You
armory,
managed to find your
going through their
personal social
colors,
media,
their
friends, and
permutations.
family. Are you seeing
And
where
it's gonna
this is
sound really
going?
stupid, but almost telling a
What are
story
you
with how a
talking
character
about?
looks.
I'm prepared to
Where you can
offer
tell not what they've been
forgiveness,
through, but
should you choose to
what they care
apologize.
about. Like
Otherwise,
when
I'll
I
be
see
forced to
Alex
use the
here,
fullest extent
you know,
of
she
my
has the sword
influence.
and board back,
I
and
don't
she has
understand.
the
What will
Rhine
you do?
legs, and she has
Stand
these
them
2
all with
kind
the
of
shit
mythic
you say
shoulders.
and do online.
To me,
Show them
it feels like
who you
she's
really
just trying to
are.
barricade herself
What?
from all the shit that's
Why?
going on in her
Because you
personal
need to
life.
be made an
And you could say
example
the same thing for
of.
Ben,
You are in my
but with
domain
Ben,
now, and you'll
it's
need
more
to
so the
face some
fact that he hasn't
consequences.
changed his
Earl,
gear at all
what
over
is
the
this?
years. It's almost
All
like
of
he
a
hasn't
stupid
changed at all
teabag?
during the years.
Shut up.
Your name is
Um,
Earl? Oh
when
my
it came to a
god, what
character
a
like Kyle,
cuck's name.
I just
Holy
wanted to
shit, are
communicate
you a
that he is
youth
an
pastor
extremely
or
like
some shit?
progressive,
shut up.
forward-thinking guy. Like he's very much into the new stuff, and that
Well,
and
that was
that you would,
dramatic.
if you were a Bungie
Enough.
purist, you would
Draw to
almost
match
be
this last
aggravated just by looking
I'm
at
done
him,
with this
because
lot.
you can
Get
see
them
how
out of my
invested he
sight.
is in the 343
We're not
stuff.
done here,
Kind of
Earl.
like he's a new
You were to
school Halo
refer to
fan,
me
as opposed to
Overlord.
Alex, Ben, or
No,
Roman, who are all old
Overlord,
school
we still have
fans.
business left to discuss.
Our
Um,
business ended years
Same
ago.
with Earl, but I
Well,
think Earl,
good luck.
Roman's
someone
dead.
should like make allowances for Earl and how there's a bit of hypocrisy there, because obviously he gives out about the 343 games, but then he starts wearing
spoke to him
gear
a
from
few months after
343
our fight.
making
He
MCC,
wanted
so I
to know
wanted
what
people to
happened and
hopefully
what would he need
think of
to
him as a
do
hypocrite
to
in
get me
that sense, you
talking
know?
to you again.
Or maybe he's just
Told him I wasn't
changed his
interested and
mind
I
over
wanted to
time,
be
you know?
left the fuck alone.
And there's a degree of
Now
that in
that I
this
look
scene
back
where they're
on
talking
it,
on
I
the
see he
balcony,
just wanted to get everything
where
out.
they're all realizing,
We
you
were
know,
all younger then.
they're holding the
Different
mirror up
people,
to themselves and
doing
they're
different things.
realizing how much they've all
Perhaps,
changed as
but
people.
he was right about one thing. It was
And
all stupid.
I don't think
Regardless
we
of
need
who
to
was
look too
wrong,
deeply into where
it was
Alex has gone
childish
in
to
those
nurse
years
his hate
since,
all along when all
but
I
I
wanted
think this
to
is
do
definitely a
was
scene
play
where
games and
we
talk
take a look
shit
at Earl
like
and how
anyone
he's
else.
changed.
I
And
think we just lost our way.
I think
At
Ben
some point, time put
changes
its foot in our path
vicariously
and
through
tripped
other
us.
people,
Caught us off
where where he
turned us
only
on each
realizes
other
how
when
much he's
things got hard.
changed
I mean,
when he looks
when
at
you think
how
about
those
it,
around
we
him have
did spend
changed.
so much time relying on each other for support.
Kyle doesn't
Things
really
were
need
bound to come
that
to
kind
a
of
head at
development.
some
He's
point.
really only there
With all
just to
the shit
flesh
going
out
on in our personal
Alex's
lives,
growth as a
friction was only
person.
going to build up.
Roman
And
was facing his own
yeah,
battle and never
I
told
think there's a
anyone.
lot going on in these scenes.
Makes
I
me
also
think that
like
maybe I wasted a
having
lot of
shots
time
where you
on
have a
here.
diverse
Not
set of
playing the
characters, at least in
game,
their
those
armor
hours
sets
I
and stuff,
treasure,
because
but by
it at
enforcing
least
some
gives you
kind of
some kind of
arbitrary
visual
rule
stimulus
upon
going
those I
on as well.
disagreed with.
I have to
I think
give
maybe I was
props to
escaping the fact that I
everybody
wasn't
as well
happy with
who
how things
acted in
were.
here, because everybody
is some
gave the characters
Shit.
exactly what they needed.
Can we go back
Like,
to matchmaking at
obviously,
some point?
when I first heard
Can you
the
maybe
Georgina,
wait outside?
I think it's Georgia or
Just until we
Georgina,
finish
the voice
this.
actress
Won't be
for
long, I promise.
Alex, it was like it was the same voice that I heard in my head when I was writing the script,
You
and the
know,
same for Ben.
I'm gonna be moving
Aiko.
across state soon for a new job.
And obviously,
I think I need
the
to
actor
take
for
a break
Earl was
from all
great as
this,
well.
at least for a small
So,
while.
Maybe
going on
it's
from the
time we
scene now,
ended
we
this,
have the
at least on
memorial
friendly
in
terms.
Forge
Yeah.
World. And
Like that.
oh, sorry, shout out to Know
Ben,
You Man, who
you've
really
been
saved my
quiet this
ass
whole
with
time.
Roman because I had
What's up?
actors
You
pulling out
disagree
left,
with
right,
what
and
we said?
center. I had one voice actor who would voice
No, I
several
don't.
characters and just
if we
went
do
completely
this, I
radio
wanna do it
silent. So
right.
it's kind of a last minute meme, but he really helped me out.
Well,
Back on topic,
anyone
we
want to
are
say a few
on
words?
the
Don't
memorial
really know
scene in
what to
Forge
say,
World.
really.
And
What about
the
you,
thing I
Ben?
really like
You
about this
first,
scene
I'll
is
probably mess it up anyway.
we're going
Yeah,
back to seeing how
probably right.
characters have
You
grown.
suck at speeches
And obviously,
anyway.
Halo Reach
Shut
only
up.
has the
I wrote a little
mythic
something
helmets.
with
They
the help
didn't
of
do the
Kyle,
shoulders or
so
chest or anything.
hopefully it comes out right.
But I think in some ways, Alex might have reverted back to
Roman
her
was the
old
best of us.
appearance anyway from Halo
Sure,
Reach.
he was weird
And
and he was
Earl,
wacky, but who
just to
isn't?
kind of tie things together, I
He
wanted
took
Earl
the
to hold
time
that
to be
same helmet
candid
just
and
so
honest with
people
those
wouldn't be
around him,
confused either.
through which he found his own kin,
And I was
his own kind.
really worried about
He wasn't interested
putting
in
in these kind
changing
of
the
B-roll
world or
shots
making it a better
to go
place,
over
but he left it in a better
the
way than he
eulogies
found it.
because I thought, oh, this isn't really
He
stimulating.
was
But
a decent player
I
and
don't
a funny
know,
guy,
there's kind of a
but most of
serene
all,
sense
he
to
was
it.
a good
There's
friend.
a kind of a, I'm not
I
quite
may not be
sure,
able
but
to take
it's,
you down in free for
I mean,
all,
this
but
bit here with the tower
I'll tell you how
firing the
Roman was with
bolt
me forever.
ties in great because it punctuates the eulogy, I
I
think.
first met Roman on a
But
customs game match on
I
Halo
was of
2.
two minds of it,
We were
and
all shit talking
I'm
each
recording
other,
this
and he
before
by
the
far
episode
had the
premieres, so
greatest insults.
I'm really not
The
sure
fact
how
that I got so
people will
triggered
receive
by him
this.
is a testament
But I
to
hope
how
people like
creative
it
he was with
because
his language.
when I watched it,
Particularly
it
for a
did
guy
kind
whose
of
first language
feel
was in English.
meditative
To this
and
day, I still
reflective,
believe he learned
and
the
that's
entire language
all the scene
off
has
of the
to be.
pregame
It's
lobby.
just people
But I also think he
reflecting
was the
on Roman's
greatest teacher
life
I ever
and
had.
reflecting upon themselves.
That was nice.
So
Ben,
Ben obviously is the one that we're all leading up to because he's the most talkative to us because we're hearing
don't know.
his monologue
really
over
don't.
the entire video, but
say how you
it's
feel.
like no one else has heard
It's
his inner
easier than you
monologue until
think,
now.
you
So we're
know?
all building up to
I
this.
miss the way he would swear in another
And
language when he got
the
killed.
idea is not
I
that
miss the
they're,
way
you
he
know,
would
patching
leave his
things up
mic on
and
when he went out for a
going to go
smoke
back to
and
being
you would
best
hear him
friends.
singing to himself.
It's
I
that
miss the way he
they
would
want
always
to quit
ask me
while
how
they're
my
ahead.
family was.
And even though they've
I miss
patched
the
things
way
up,
he would always joke about
they
himself
realize
being
that
a
they've
furry, and
already
most of
grown
all,
so much
I
as
miss how he
people
would
that
always be the first to
the
send invites,
chapter in their life where they would have played
regardless if he
Halo
was in
all
a good
day
mood
and
or
all
not.
night is gone.
I miss you, Ron.
And that's okay.
I miss him too.
It's no one's fault.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, you know, when you talk to one of your
And that was the
exes a
last
few years
time the
after
three
you've
of us had
broken up
met in one place.
and you try
It
to
felt
see if you
fitting
can
for
make
us
it
to
work,
end
but you
the
can't really
schism
make it
the
work
same way we
because
started.
you're two
We
different
just went
people.
our separate ways and
And it's
continued
not a
with life.
bad thing that you can't make
Alex
it work.
emailed me
It's
months
just
later telling me
it's
that
just
she
the
and Kyle
passage of
had
time.
tied the knot and were
And I
expecting
think
their
that's the
first kid.
biggest
Earl
pillar of
called
this
me and told me
script
that
is
he was
that
getting help
it's
for an
just the
addiction to
passage of
gaming.
time.
He
You
wished
just
me
kind of
well,
need to
stating
move
that
on.
he was never to play Xbox again.
And that'll
I
kind
still
of tie
hopped on every
into
weekend or
where
so
we go
under the
with the
hopes that one
next
day we would all
episode
meet
of
again and
Chewwies
play
as
like
well,
we
which
used to.
will be the
I
final one as
expected me
well.
and Alex to have our usual cash-ups while Earl rolled in
So
screaming about some bullshit
this is
deal he
kind
didn't
of
get.
where we're wrapping up
And a
on
small
this
part of me
episode, you
expected
know?
Roman to send me that invite,
It's
but
everyone
never
going
did.
their separate ways and
I just watched the
Ben
last scene
taking
on
one
my
last
account
glance
gradually go up
on
each
this
time I
map
signed
before he
on
kind
until
of,
the gamer tag was deleted due
you
to an
know, packs it
activity.
all in.
I made sure
Oh,
to
I didn't
capture all the
realize
screenshots,
in
file
the
share
background
files,
was the
maps he forged, and
building
all
from
include puzzles out
Chewwies
to them.
1. Fuck.
Eventually, the time came for me
Should
to
I
move
take that
on
out?
shit. Put my
I
Xbox away
technically
and
could,
stuffed it into my closet once I
but I
started
also
to
have to make
work
the
full
premiere
time.
live in a few
I had to
minutes.
close the book on that stage of my life
Maybe
in
I'll
order
leave
to
it in as
grow
an
and
Easter egg.
progress.
We'll see.
You might say level up,
It's kind
but
of that's
that
kind of
sounds
a
stupid.
cool
I'm
unintentional
taking
Easter
my
egg. I didn't
vacation,
realize
and
that
from work
building
I
was in
saw
the
that a new
background.
game had become available on the Microsoft Store.
But
I decided to grab it on my
now
desktop
we're
to
going
see
into
what the hype
Infinite,
was all about.
and
It was familiar,
there's
fun,
some.
and took me back
I
to the
I
old
like
times. Simpler
Alex's
times. It made me
reintroduction
wonder
to
what had
this.
changed and what had
I
stayed the same.
tried
Was
to
it the
put her
game?
in the
The culture of
Mark
it.
6 helmet. Like,
Maybe,
I unlocked it on my
maybe it
second
was time to stop
account,
growing up. Let the
and
world
the
grow around me.
reason I
See
didn't
what
go with this
drifted
because
away
I
with the
couldn't
tide
find the red and white coating
and what came
that
back.
suited it. So I just went with this one, you know? And I think it kind of fits because her helmet is almost closer to the Mark
Sometimes it's
5
not about letting out your
from
inner child,
CE, which is where they first meet.
but letting it
And
out.
then we have this lovely cut of them going back into CE like they're children again. Which was a lot of fun, you know? That's also one of the first shots that I saw was how we go from CE to Halo 2 to Halo 3 to ODST to Halo 4 to Halo 5 to Halo Reach to Halo Infinite or something. And then we go from Halo Infinite all the way back to CE. And I'm really happy with how that turned out. And I hope that you will like it too. You know, I'd love to hear your thoughts below in the comments if you have them. If you think it's the worst thing I've ever made, be sure to unsubscribe for me. And that was Chewwies, Last Seen Online. I hope you enjoyed it. I've said that already, but I actually seriously do hope you enjoyed it because I worked really hard on it. Working on the next Chewwies, working on Guide to Machinima. Might be out by the time this comes out, but we shall see. Oh, in the post-credit scene, there's just the irony of a furry telling people that you're all freaks, because everybody thinks furries are freaks. And it's a nice little assembly of all the people from the clan night as well. Could have taken place at the modern day, at the Infinite thing, at another clan night thing, or could have taken place at the original one that Ben was at. And I think that's how I see it in my head, you know?
Realize that you lot are a bunch
So
of freaks,
that's
right?
all. See you later, folks.